Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I want to talk to you about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. It was called The Galactic Barrier. And as it starts, we see that a meeting is being held between Admiral Vance and the Federation president, as well as the head of the Earth thing, whatever that is. We see Glasses guy there, as well as a Starfleet scientist. And for some reason, the Navarre president and Michael and Saru, the latter two, who are, of course, heading up the mission to find out about Species 10C or make first contact with them through the galactic barrier. But why they're at the, I guess they would be at the meeting, but like, why? I don't know. I guess we established last week why Michael's getting the meeting. Why was the Navarre president there? Like, in the old days, Vulcan was a big member of the Federation. They were like the number 2 founding member, but not now, not anymore. It's a completely different planet with a completely different society living on it because it's blended. And they were out of the Federation for a long time and only joined back up. Now, I guess that's true of a lot of planets, but why do they get a front seat at this stuff? Well, because they want to use the character, the president character. That's why, but it doesn't make sense other than that. Anyway, Glasses guy makes a Gilligan reference. He calls it a 3-hour tour, the trip to the galactic barrier, and Saru says it's not going to take, it'll take more than that. And he says it's a joke or whatever. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Federation president then announces that she's going to go on the mission as a diplomat, that she has turned over power to the Federation vice president, and she wants to go on the mission. And the admiral, as a diplomat, and the admiral mentions that the mission will go beyond the galactic barrier, and he says, where no one has ever gone before, except for all the people in the Star Trek universe who have. Because Discovery. We then go over to Tarka and Book, and we learn that Tarka wants some programmable antimatter to use on the shields of Book's ship to get it through the galactic barrier, to get to the spot where he thinks the power source is. And he, of course, knows where to get some. Why he needs his power source, we said before, so he can get home to his universe, which Discovery, and now even Book, could just jump into whenever. Back on Discovery, we see Adira, who is back from visiting Gray on Trill. Woo, yay. Burnham tells the Federation president, who isn't president since she turned over power to the vice president, that she can't be questioning her orders on the bridge in front of the crew, which the not president pushes back against, as if she still were president, even though while she is on this mission is a diplomat. And I don't know why they were having that conversation, or why she was pushing back, I should say. Just so stupid. Then we go over to see Saru, and he kind of makes a fool of himself with the Navarre president by sort of expressing his interest in her romantically, which she seems put off by and doesn't really say anything except, I gotta go now. And then he sees her later on the ship, though he'd not expected her to be coming on the mission, at which point she again seems unsettled to see him, and he's put off by this, and the doctor's trying to help him out and make him feel better, which is so stupid. I don't know why they're doing it. We then see Book and Tarka again. They arrive at an old Emerald Chain camp. It's abandoned, but it's where Tarka had been held for a while 10 years earlier, with his special friend that he's trying to get back to, whose origin we don't know, that I recall, and whom we've never seen before. And we get a flashback to how they became friends after Book calls Tarka an asshole, which he is, for not telling him that they were going to a camp. Back on Discovery, we see that they jump to the galactic barrier and then they enter it. And before getting pummeled by the negative energy, they enter into some kind of a space ball bubble thing that's there, which they think is going to take them safely through to the other side, before the not president shows up on the bridge and says she has something important to tell Michael. In another flashback, we see Tarka holding his alien friend to comfort him when he freaks out during an alarm at the camp where they're being held, after which his friend indicates that he's working on an interdimensional transporter in order to try to escape the camp without triggering the anti-escape device on the back of his neck, one of which Tarka also has in the flashback. and which we know he removed at some point because he has the scar. Next, we see that it turns out that the DMA moved ahead of time to a new spot, which they thought it wasn't going to do, for a week, and the new spot is within the Alpha Quadrant, which of course means that it's potentially going to damage Earth and the people living on Titan and Navarre. And by damage, I mean destroy, because that's what happens when this thing hits a planet. The bubble thing that Discovery is in then gets stuck in a jam of these bubbly things, and Michael decides to fly between the cells in order to progress, including into some unstable cells, which exposes them to the barrier's dangerous negative energy, which of course is cause for drama. In another flashback, we see Tarka and his buddy try to use the interdimensional transporter, and it fails because they don't have enough power, which alerts the guards, who beat the alien and who reveal that Tarka was working with them to expose the alien's work before Tarka stops them and removes both his and the alien's anti-escape device, but has to leave behind the alien, who forgives him. So, whatever. Discovery makes it finally to a new cell with a bit of trouble, and we get a useless, mushy scene between Stamets and Adira, which was completely useless, followed by a completely useless scene between the not Federation president and Michael. These scenes were just full of platitudes. It didn't mean anything. It was just syrupy talk, and it was just bad stuff. The president then volunteers to tell the crew about Earth and Navarre being in danger, which Michael had wanted to do, but which the not president hadn't wanted to do. And she does that, and when Saru expresses regret over it to the Navarre president, that her planet's in danger, she asks him to sit with her in a moment of disquiet where she's not feeling very good. And I guess that's good because they're getting along again. The whole thing is stupid because she's Vulcan to begin with. Nobody cares about Saru's romantic life. They did it on the other shows. They had B'Elanna and Tom. They had sort of Picard and Vosh. They had Seven and Chakotay. And they had Cisco and the lady. I guess, whatever. I don't know. But before the end, Michael and the not president, like I say, have this conversation. And they talk about how they just have to succeed. So, and this is another conversation on top of the one I mentioned before. So that's where we are. That's where we're going into. We have to succeed. Like, well, no kidding. So this episode was not as horrible as the previous couple, but wow, just the show is a mess. It's bad. That's all there is to it. But that's the update on what's happening on Star Trek Stupidity. I'll be back with a review of the next episode. Until then, my friends, peace and long life.